All right, here we are, August 4th. Rocking and rolling. Like I said, we'll wait a little bit for some others to join us this morning. Oh, look at that. Carlos and Keith, you guys are rocking this morning. Look at you guys. Oh, man. Really want to say, Chris, I really want to say your last little bit there, but I'll leave that off today. So, we're not going to like dive super into it at this exact moment. So you guys have some time to get settled. And like I was saying just a second ago, we'll take some breaks. We'll have some fun. Um, I don't know how deep we'll trade today. So, if you gotta go, you gotta go. So, feel free to take care of that. And if there's anything more to talk about, we'll talk about that in the trading pod. So, but good to be here with everyone today. You guys get situated. I know it's a little bit newer for you all and newer for me. So I'm just making sure on my end that some of the managerial things that go along with the stream are where they need to be so that everything's working out. It looks so far that this today is doing better than yesterday, even though yesterday was a success. It's looking as if today is actually rocking and rolling even better. So I think we've ironed out some things, and I appreciate Keith and Carlos and Eli and Jacob, and I feel bad if I forgot someone being with us yesterday. So a lot of fun. All right, so this morning, I'll probably put like a 5-minute timer up here in just a second. Give you guys a few minutes to get situated. All right. And then we'll come back and kick butt and take some names. So as we're doing that, let's see. I'm really hoping it's not gonna rain, but kind of wondering like if we need the rain. Oh, look at that. That's funny. All right. And Anthony, like I was just saying, we're gonna go on a 5-minute hiatus really quick, just so you guys have a minute to get situated and whatnot. So I tell you what, I feel like it's just been raining a lot. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, okay, okay. I'll put the timer up here in just a second when, you know, do that. Ah, there we go. Okay. And I don't know if you guys are still here, but um, shooting out a email to everybody. And feel free if you want to share the link to this stream. I just sent it to you via email. All right. That is that. As we're getting situated this morning, if you see a trade, feel free to pull that trigger. All right. Don't be shy. All right. Here we go. Ooh, fancy. So let's go on just a 5-minute break really quick. But if you see a trade this morning, things are to the upside, but we'll rock and roll here in 5 minutes. Okay. That was easy. All right. Well, one more second. Okay. I tell you what, always learning something new. I guess that's a good thing if it happens super early. Okay. And all right. So you guys feel free as we move forward. You know, if you want to write anything, you know, feel free to write some stuff. Let's see what we can't put together this morning. Okay. Well, as we get started, just going to go through the normal, you know, pre-market routine that I like to do. If, big if the markets that we're looking at aren't so agreeable to trading this morning, then absolutely feel free to go and look at something else, okay? So you definitely have that luxury. But we will want to stay focused on one or two markets, but you know, we don't have to sit and spend all day just on one. However, if you are specializing, then definitely you want to lock and load on that. All right. Well, with that being said, we did this in the last one, but you know, just a force of habit. We'll definitely take a look at it. So I'm gonna come over here to Forex Factory. Yeah. Most likely you guys have already done this, and that's a good thing. So just reiterating this. We're just looking for high impact reports. Literally, there is nothing until Friday, and Friday is non-farm payroll or employment change. So that's the big news event, and just be aware of that. I mean, if that number comes out shockingly, like wrong, then, you know, then it's more important than if it just comes out a little bit different. Okay. So that's this. But obviously I think you guys already know all that. After that, yesterday I think we went there as well. You know, so we'll see this pop up in just a second. Just going to investing.com, checking out the earnings calendar. So this was August 4th. And that's today. We have SpaceX coming out. That'll be neat after the market closes. This morning, we already have Caterpillar and Merck. Let's see, who else do we have? McDonald's. For those of you that enjoy, man, I was talking about, what was I talking about the other day? I don't know. McDonald's has a great breakfast. It was something to do with that. So for you all that in 5 minutes can go snack up a McDonald's Egg McMuffin, more power to you. They are doing quite well. Pfizer, perhaps you've heard of that company. They've already came out. Duke Energy, especially here. So yeah, EOG, Devon Energy. It's going to be a busy day today. Anyways, things are coming out quite well. Well, we'll see in just a second. That Palantir did quite well. So, me, always going to Yahoo Finance. So, here on Yahoo Finance, you already see Palantir soars. All right, good to know. But let me go check out what Asia did. So Asia, sold off and then somewhat rallied. Okay, so just keeping that in my mind. Then Europe continued to rally. And right now here, we are even more rallying. We see the Dow Jones is leading. Is it leading? Yeah, it's leading. Then we see it followed by the NASDAQ, and then the Russell, and then the S&P. Now, things can change very quickly on the open, but it's good idea to just simply know who's leading the pack. And obviously, in your training, that would go back to that lesson plan about the the happy family there. So just be aware of that. We do see the VIX is at 15.68. Gold, for those of you that like looking at gold. Then you have crude oil, which is dipping. Interesting thing about crude oil, well, obviously, for obvious reasons, there's in the Middle East over there's a lot of unrest. And so I'm absolutely staying away from crude oil. But you already know that. So out of all these, not going to look at the NASDAQ. Probably going to look more at the Dow. And maybe the Russell. If I decide the market's starting to sell off, okay, then I'll switch gears over to the S&P just to see if that's more agreeable for selling on that day, okay? That's what this morning is really helping me understand. Like, if I'm going to put my eggs in a basket, which basket do I want to be in? And just for me, I'm not going to ever be in that NASDAQ basket. If I ever am in that NASDAQ basket, then yeah, it'd be somewhat rare. Not saying that it's impossible, but it's not strongly going to happen anytime soon. So with that being said, I'm going to slide over to the Dow Jones. I'm just going to be more focused in that area, that basket this morning. And then secondly, I like trading the Dow. That doesn't mean I won't trade the Russell or the S&P. sometimes we get some really nice moves in the Russell that we don't get exactly in the Dow Jones. Or, vice versa. Sometimes we get some really nice moves in the Dow and we don't get it so much on the S&P. Then one last thing to say, like yesterday, we were looking for like a sell short, but obviously we couldn't exactly do it because the market was rallying. Now you go back in hindsight and you see why going short isn't a great idea. And so we just sat and we were watching and we were looking for some weakness. We did get weakness finally on the Dow Jones. And I think some people were interested in that. And then we did get minor weakness in the S&P. So I think some other people were interested in that as well. But, just like I've said before, trees don't grow to the sky. So eventually there will be a little bit of a sell-off. So even though we're rallying this morning, if you get long, which that is the play, just be aware that we could have a little bit more aggressive sell-off, and we'll kind of look at that here this morning. Okay, so after Yahoo Finance, go check your broker, okay? You want to definitely check your broker because you want to see if the interest, okay, the maintenance margin, has either increased or decreased. What it is. That's going to be important. And if your broker shares with you intraday or provides you discount margins, then even better. So we need to be aware of that. And then we'll use the rule that we talk about in Flagship to help us understand like how much of that contract, can we afford. Okay, so like right now the ES is at 27.59, and then MES, the micro, is at 276. Okay. Now yesterday we were talking to Keith. I don't know if Keith is in the room. He might be coming in a little bit late, but yesterday, we were talking about the micros on the Dow in the trading pod. So that's at 166. So, obviously intraday, it's probably at 1,600. Let's go and look. So 1,667. And got to have cents in here. Isn't that funny? And 60 cents. So, depending on what you're looking to trade this morning, we were going to go look at gold. Gold is a little bit hefty there. Okay. So 5,000. This morning, if you're looking just for something light to kind of get your feet wet, if you do see a trade this morning, then I would kind of be more agreeable to trading the micro this morning. Just simply to get your toes wet. It would be like a stretch. Okay, you're like stretching just a little bit for trading a little bit heavier during the normal session. Okay, so and that's pretty much it. And then I will, of course, I like to have FinViz, just hanging out here. That's just me. Maybe it's a bad habit. I don't know. I don't really think it is. But, yesterday we were looking for this. But we weren't looking for it like this. This is just meandering and grinding. Like, nobody wants to be a part of that. Okay? We want to see this thing dropping. Like, we wanted to see some distribution appearing. The NASDAQ, obviously, it just went up and kept going up. Just a nice grind. And then the S&P, good job, I think it was to Chris that captured more of this earlier in the morning. And then we had on the live stream, we were picking up on it, and Carlos picked up on it. And Carlos actually helped one of the members here with, hey, I'm seeing something here. Be careful. So feel free, as you guys are moving forward, share those insights. The more eyes you have on something, the better, kind of thing. So again, like the S&P just rallied as well. And we never really got that sell-off. I mean, we did have a little tiny blimp. These are just blimps. And so how you get in something like this, That really, at any moment, this thing could have just sold off. It just could have just sold off. So it was a very actually hard trading day, especially when it grinds like this. That doesn't normally happen. But if you were long from the morning, if your rules got you in long from the morning, not jumping in randomly, going skinny dipping, and that's really the only way, in some ways, you get in this. But actually following rules, having rules to follow, and then following them, then you did a very good job. So, okay. We'll leave that there. And you can see here on the Russell had a little bit more movement. Went up, sideways, down, and, it was a little bit more jittery. So, we'll leave that there. All right, let's get some homework done this morning. You guys can feel free to do that with me. So, normally I don't exactly do this, but let's do it today. Get some feedback later on. So I'm just going to start the Dow, and I'm just going to start putting everything together, okay? That's all I'm doing. And when I say, like, I'm putting things together, all that means is that I'm trying to get my homework lines drawn. So that way, when the market is getting to those situation areas, I'm not trying to make things happen under stress versus already, completing the idea, already having it done. Okay. So that's the whole point. So here on the Dow Jones, and then we'll just move forward. I think, I'm pretty sure we're at all-time highs. Now that is what's supposed to happen. Okay, so we're definitely at all-time highs. You can see yesterday we stopped here, and today we're way up here. Okay, so naturally you would probably think to yourself, well, what's the ATR on this? That's a good idea to think about. So currently we're at 705. And today's open was at 53,381. So 53,381 plus 706 equals 54. 54,087. 54,087. So how in the world are we going to be able to trade something like that? I mean, it's already at the extremes of its average true range. Like, it's already there. So that creates a little bit of a problem for us. Because any trade we do, like pick up or recognize, well, how much room does it have to go? Can I risk 5 points to make an additional 200 points? technically speaking, we're already at the end of this range here. So pretty much, I mean, just be aware it could literally do nothing for the majority of the day. Like at 9:30, it opens, it rallies a little bit, maybe it drops a little bit, and then it just dies for the rest of the day. You know, I don't have that crystal ball. Wish I did. I'm sure a lot of people do. But that's what this is telling us right here. So, hey, if that's going on with the Dow, maybe we should go look at something else. All right. But we'll look at it. I don't know exactly. Of course, are we gonna just come running in here and sell against this bullish pressure? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Really, what we would like to have happen this morning is that it sells off, and then we can take advantage of that. But that's where we are right now. So hopefully that's useful for you. Okay. So if I would like, I can go ahead and get rid of this because I don't need this anymore. And then what could I put in its place? I could just put like a horizontal line here, just right there at the top. Now I have my snap mode enable, or you might call it marketing. Excuse me, marketing. Magnetic. So that's just sitting there as a reference. Okay. On the .D chart, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of everything because these drawings no longer apply to us. Okay. So I'm just going to clean up the chart. Same thing here on the 3-hour chart. We just go ahead and clean that up as well. So I'm just deleting everything that are on these charts, okay? And we don't need them. Why don't we need it? Because the information has changed. Things have changed. So we don't need it. Same thing on the 30-minute. We'll come back and clean this up. And then right down here. Okay. So now that everything's cleaned up, now we could just kind of begin again. On the 30-minute chart, we know we're going to be working over here. We already know that we'll be gapping up. We closed at 53,402. And this morning, we're up 600 points. So obviously, we're gapping up. Okay. Well, that's good to know. And we're gapping up outside of the previous candle's range right here. Like this was the range of yesterday. I'm going to zoom in on this. This is what made yesterday hard. Is that everything was rallying up, and then we saw some selling pressure. We wanted to go short, but we can't exactly justify going short. A short did work. Out of all of them, the short did work, but it wasn't supposed to work on the Dow because the Dow was leading the charge yesterday, and then it kind of just slowed down. Why did it slow down? I don't really know. I don't really need to know. It's just, it wasn't a safe bet. It wasn't a safe idea. It wasn't a safe trade. So, we're going to definitely gap up. I would be really surprised if we keep just slamming to the upside. So the only thing I need to do here, even though it probably won't be used, is just marking off that 30-minute candle right there, all right? So that's the only thing I'm doing right there. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to go work on our next chart down here. And the nice thing is, there really isn't that much to do. Okay, zoom in. Make my life a little bit easier. And I'm just interested in drawing this demand area right here. And I'm probably going to draw it the preferred method. Though you guys should be drawing it the flagship pit trader way. Okay. So you got that done. Now, when I'm looking at my screens the way that I do, you know, I like them being not so zoomed in. I like trying to be able to see different dynamics, like different movements. Okay. Then lastly, on our middle screen here, you know, I'll zoom in for you guys. It's gonna be the exact same thing. However, with this, what I'll do, just to, you know, show you again the habit of stuff, is what I'll do is I'll mark out the highs and lows currently of the Globex session. And I like to draw these like a dark brown, or sometimes I might even draw them like an orange kind of thing. Okay. So I'm just marking out the Globex high, the Globex low. There's literally actually no extra homework to do here on this. If you wanted to mark out the demand that's sitting below, you could. Just, again, remembering that this right here is a Globex low. That's okay. And I'll zoom that out for you. And then lastly, I gotta do it on the 10-minute too. Okay. But here on the 10 minutes, if you see like a zone that you really like that might be useful for today's session this morning, then you definitely could actually look to interested in trading it, you know. So I'm gonna mark out the Globex low, the Globex high. I like to color it. It'll be the exact same color as the other screen. You might say, well, Paul, that, you know, redundant. Well, yeah, sure. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's just on a different screen. It's a different look. Okay. So naturally, when I just came in here to look at this, I'm looking at like 53,800. That to me looks like an interesting area. Is there like some demand ahead of it? Yeah, there is. Okay. I mean, that's the whole point when markets rally up, that they keep producing demand. But this area right here is more of interest to me. 53,800. That's the Dow. Okay. Doesn't really mean anything. That if it's a zone, obviously I'm never, you know, taking like a zone as it is for obvious reasons. But that's of interest to me. Okay. Anybody have any questions or anything else? If you do, you know, type into the chat and we will try to communicate some ideas. Perhaps you were able to follow along. If you were able to follow along, you know, give me 100 confetti. I don't know. Thumbs up. Whatever you want to do. if you guys have those emojis, or if you want to do a reaction, you can put some confetti out there, or a 100 if you're able to follow along. Okay, so I'll leave that to you. Okay. Well, it seems like everybody here is walking their cat this morning, which is okay. You know, if you want to walk the cat, that's all right. Remember, chat windows for you guys, so if I see it, you know, I'll definitely be able to get back to you. Anthony, if you're here, were you able to follow along with that? Carlos, if you're here, yes, no. Yes. Okay. There you go, Anthony. Much better, Anthony. Look at that. You know what, Anthony? You know what you get? And Carlos. You know what you guys get? You guys get, let's see here. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5. You get 5 gold stars this morning. Yes, you do. Great job. All right, very good. So good. Very important that you guys are able to follow along and that it's making sense. I mean, there's nothing better than being able to analyze the markets, make sense of them, even if it's not, you know, something that you're looking to trade. It's still good. All right. Yeah. Yep. We'll go over and look at the ES. So I might not speak so much here just for a second, okay, to allow you to focus. All right, very good. So let's go look at that. Oh yeah. Well, Carlos, absolutely, it is going down. So I might speed this up. So I went nice and easy for you guys. So feel free to get your homework lines done on your charts. So Carlos, what you gotta do here is you gotta, yet again, you know, get that homework completed, okay? So I'm not, Carlos, interested in that little minor sell-off right there. And you shouldn't be interested either. Why do I say that? Well, the market's going up. We would love, actually, Carlos, for this to sell off this morning. That's actually good. So we could take advantage of that a little bit later. Okay? That's the whole game plan with that. So just be aware of that. For all you know, change this to a 10. The market hasn't changed yet. Now that's pretty nasty sitting right there. Let's see what we got here on. So we're at 99.27. So today, you know, average true range, and keyword there is true range, that the average true range is all the way up. If it went straight up, 7,730. Okay, 7,730. So technically speaking, it has another 100. I never really look at it like that. I always kind of think half. So half is 49.5 plus the open, like if it went up. So that number comes to 7680. So technically speaking, Carlos, the ES or the S&P has another, from this moment in time, it has another like 30 points that can go up. So don't be so ecstatic of it going down. Okay. Now, nothing wrong with being ecstatic. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, look at the structure here. We are breaking out to the upside on the weekly. And get that snapping candle there. Yeah, we have just poked our heads above, so all-time highs. We do have some good earnings reports coming out. So there's a lot of push to the upside. That's for sure. So really, in the morning, it's all about just getting your homework done. That's all it is, because that's really all you can do. If you do see a good trade after your homework's done, then that's a completely separate conversation. Okay? So I'm not interested in that sideways junk at all. And I'm just finishing up the homework. That's all. Sometimes it's, it's good. Not sometimes. It's always good, but get your homework done. The night before. Then you just lightly, update it. You know what? Today we'll go with the orange. So sitting right here, what's of interest to us? It's kind of like there's something sitting right here. I'm not so concerned with it down in this area. Okay. There's something sitting before it. So this area right here, this is an interesting area to watch. Do I have snap mode? Okay. So I'm just going to zoom it out so I can see just kind of the playing field. All right, there's nothing overhead on us. So that's basically our playing field right there. If you want to zoom in your 3 hour, it's fine. 10-minute would be the exact same thing. Huh. There it goes. That's the first time that's ever happened. So trade station just kind of slowed down on me there for a second. Wow. There we go. All right, everything's back. Now, I did not restart the computer last night. Definitely should have done that. I'm just getting the Globex lows, the Globex highs. we can see here that the Globex low is actually sitting back here. And yeah, I do this for all the indexes. I do it for all of them. So perhaps this is what we were talking about, you know? You want to go short on that, Carlos? You can follow your trade plan there with that. Yeah, so this 7640 area kind of works with this down here. Okay, so that chart's pretty much done. Let's see. A 5-minute chart, you do have a selling signal there. Okay. You want to, sell a little bit. You could. I'm actually more interested in getting my homework lines done. Just remember that any idea that you come up with yourself as a seller is a counter trend. So then you would think back to your decision matrix, okay? At least that's what I would be doing. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so keep the ES on your radar at this exact moment. Maybe if I was just looking quickly. Yeah, yeah. So far, everything's good. Nothing's like really changed. Markets are gonna maybe start moving a little bit more as we approach 30 minutes. One thing to think about, let me just kind of preset you on that, is that if we rally up, like we have done, then it would make a lot of sense for us to have a short sell right there near the market open or within the first 30 minutes. It's just people covering and receiving their profits. Okay, because you can definitely bet your dollar that somebody was long, since the open of yesterday, and maybe they were rubbing their rabbit foot or whatever, and the market just kept grinding up, up, up. It came down. Oh no! But it kept grinding up all last night. So if somebody out there was long in the marketplace, then it makes a lot of sense for them to cover and making those paper profits real. So just kind of keep that in your mind as we watch, look the first few minutes of the day. Yep. But hey, Carlos, I give that to you if you called that. If that sell short idea is looking good. Okay. That doesn't mean that you did it, Keith. It's just an idea. So we'll leave it. We'll leave that right there. And when the market opens, we'll change these times around a little bit. Now, you should do this for the NASDAQ as well. Okay. I might not trade the NASDAQ, but yeah, I'm going to have these areas on the chart. Why? Well, it helps me. It helps me in the battlefield. So I'm going to do anything that's going to help me or give me a leg up. That's just me. If you guys are, rocking and rolling with with your, let's say S&P, then that's beautiful. I love that. So the NASDAQ is not at all-time highs. So really what that's saying is if the market rallies up into here and then the NASDAQ starts to sell off, you're going to feel that vibration pretty strongly in the other ones, okay? And that goes back to the family, that happy family. So if we want to feel a little fancy, we can, well, I don't ever make it pink, but we can make it red. How about that? Okay. Really what would be important on this chart as well is that we get that 3 hour completed. Or it could be a 6 hour, it could be whatever you want it to be. But kind of more right here. Want to zoom that in a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. So when you get like into the habit of stuff, you can move pretty quick through everything. Again, I'm just trying to get some points on here that will be of interest to me like later on. And at least for me in the morning, I think it's easier to like do all this. 30 minutes, 10 minutes, don't really need 5 minutes. 5 minutes would be more for, hey, we're in a moving market. And Chris, you did that really well yesterday. Hey, we're in a moving market, and is there something there that I need to be aware of, kind of thing. So yeah, if you were on the 30-minute, right, you would want to get any like 30-minute opposing like supply on here as well. Okay. So really for the NASDAQ, it's 29,300. That's really what that is. Okay. Which we already see on the 3 hour. So it's just, again, it's good to have those redundancies there. Okay. And then just finishing with the Russell. Good to know that the Russell isn't at all-time highs. It did break out of its supply from yesterday. This marker right there, that's going to be of importance. We'll mark that. Wow. That's a bad day. That's a bad day. Okay. If somebody got caught in that, man, that I feel terrible for them. And a lot of this all has to do with the exact same thing that we just did. Yeah. So just kind of getting into the habit of doing it. Okay. And then just one last time on the good old 10-minute chart. Okay. So that's pretty much everything that I really want to get done early in the morning. And then, the the other markets like natural gas, crude oil, gold, or currencies, they're obviously their charts will be a little bit different, but you kind of get the gist as to what would happen. Just do one more thing while we're sitting here. Okay, and then there's that bad day again that we were kind of picking up on. Okay, I'm feeling really good about that. Probably on the 10-minute. That is an interesting area. I don't like how it looks, but it's something to do with this right there. It's like 3,000 for the Russell. So, if these things like sell off, these are important areas to reconstitute the idea of going long. And then if you choose to go long, you go long. So these are more like those ideas. Without these homework lines, I'd be flying blind. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so this is the exact same thing that you guys saw earlier. I know a lot of you might like the ES. Personally, I'll be looking more at the Dow Jones. That's there. If you're going to be looking at the natural gas, natural gas is coming down into a demand area. Gold is going sideways at this moment. So I would actually stay away from gold. So if you were thinking about going to gold, I would actually stay away from it. Just as like an alternate market to look to trade. Today I wouldn't be so fond of looking at it, okay? And then in natural gas is running into like more of like a wholesale area. I mean, it's deep. It's really deep into it. Oops. Hmm. So what we want to do is we want to try to the best of our ability to get in something when all the stars are aligning. Flacco, 1253. Yeah, I really wish I knew who Flacco was. 1253. I feel like I know that name from somewhere. Oh, is that might be Luis, perhaps. Luis, there he is. Well, Luis, if you want to look at that, yeah, I guess we could. Just this morning. We got some time. I'm not a big, like, Bitcoin fan, you know? Not a big Bitcoin fan, but let's look at that. I'm feeling like there's a trade starting to appear on, since we are waiting. I'm feeling like there's a trade here on natural gas. Just FYI. Hmm. Natural gas, I think I need a little bit more confirmation. That's really what I need. But it is acting correctly, just so you know that. Okay. And also, just, don't just randomly be pulling triggers prior to the market opening, especially on natural gas. Okay. All right, so that's all done. Some Bitcoin action. Let's see here. Well, when it comes from Bitcoin, I'd really have to go from the top down to really like actually understand what we're looking at. Okay. And then I do want to take like a quick water break here. So if I was to really go through this, start on the weekly chart. This right here, this will be important for Bitcoin. This area right here. Okay. Um, Same thing with that right there. Okay. I wouldn't trust this minutia. So really for Bitcoin, wait for it to either go up or wait for it to start breaking down and you'll know what to do. If, Bitcoin gets down to this area, then it's a better idea to be a buyer. But you're kind of stuck right here in the middle, okay? The majority of your trading life has everything to do with doing nothing. It's just waiting, waiting, waiting. Okay. Now, of course, you don't like that. Well, then you got to pull little rabbits out of your hat every single day because you're impatient. Remember, the markets are just a mechanism to move the money from the impatient to the patient. So just be aware of that. Okay. So with that being said, I'm really not going to update anything here for buying. But at the moment here, the selling kind of can be updated. And then you run into this area. You run into like 2 areas, really. That doesn't mean it's worth anything. It's just what you're running into. Kind of have this little block sitting right down there. So I'm just breaking it down. I go 4 hours. Okay. Now we can take this big red thing. We can move it right there. That's pretty easy. So this would be like the main idea for selling. Of course, do that the way that PITTRADER showed you how. Okay, right there. There we get some. There you go. Those are good numbers. And then for buying, this is more target placement. It'd be right there, somewhere right. 63 even would be a strong target. And then if you break it down even further, you know, so on and so forth. So really, I can't help you so much with that because now it's going into what are you trading for. However, the 4 hour is useful for this chart at this time. The 1 hour, you see you're getting caught right here. So you really need to break out of this to give yourself any chances. And then inside of this right here, there's other minor fluctuations, right? So if you went down to 15 minutes, there you go. There's Luis, right? So the minor fluctuation right here would be to sell off, to buy, and to sell off, and so on and so forth. But really, really, really the strong, better, high probability trade idea is actually sitting more up here in this red area, this red zone. Okay? So don't know if that helps you at all, Luis, but that would be more as to, what you'd be thinking about. Okay? So right now, you are uptrending, right? But you're going to be running into this very soon. So you'd use this area, 64, call it 64 even, or 64 and a little bit. That'd be your target area. So now you're trying to look for an opportunity to get long. An opportunity to get long could present itself somewhere in this area. Somewhere right there, okay? Yeah, you want to more wait for that, for more of this 4 hour chart, okay? Anytime, just my opinion, you disagree with it. Anytime you're working with a currency, you want to look more to larger time frames. Currencies are really like trains, they're locomotives. Once they start going, they just start going. And if you can pick up the structure of it, then you're good to go. Like right here, we're going down. We're still going down. Guess what? We're still going down. And so we need the market to come back here. And if it does want to go down, so we can go down some more. Okay? That's that whole thing. All right, so like natural gas. Yep, 10 minutes. So what's natural gas is going lower. It is in a downtrend. It's going deeper into wholesale. So just kind of keep your wits about you on that one. All right, so it's 10 minutes to the open. Just if you do need, because we're going to be sitting here. Yep, I see the ES kind of moving. That's a good breakout to the upside, okay? So let's not get so, I don't know, minor focused on that. But yep, that is rocking and rolling. That's fine. Just let it do its thing. Okay. So here's the ES. Now put it to a 10-minute chart. Okay. Still fine. See, aren't you guys glad you never sold? So this is Globex, right? So we got to update our chart now to there. So that's probably the only other little thing that you would need to do. Is that, oh, I better not do that like that. So you're just updating your lines on Globex. So take just a quick little break, and then we will be right back. Okay, it's a small break, nothing fancy. I'll put like a timer up. And I'll put it back to the ES if you like that. Yes, you're welcome. Good question, Luis. No worries. Okay. Well, okay. Let the market do what it's going to do, especially on a day like today. Okay. For our flagship members, now you're getting ready to be watching your .D chart. Okay. If you're interested in, just put this on here for what is a .D chart, what is this, so on and so forth. You need to become a flagship member and apply. You can feel free to apply for free. But let us see what's going to happen today. We'll have a little bit of fun. As we're approaching, just keep in mind, keep this list in mind. The strongest is the Dow. After the Dow, it's the NASDAQ. And after the NASDAQ, it's the Russell. And then the ES. Okay? So everything is going up. The market's rallying up. So the real trade is to go up. But the counter trend trade is to go down. So out of everything that we just said, if you're looking for a counter trend trade, that would be more on the ES, okay? Just kind of be aware of that. Now, I'm not going to really look at the ES, but I'm more paying attention to the Dow Jones over here. But I'm trying not to change this chart here on the right because someone here might be looking more at it. And as I just said that, I'm thinking to myself, well, why would I leave it there? So Yahoo says stocks surge on earnings led by Palantir and Caterpillar. I love a good cat. There's 9:30, a little jiggle. So another good rule of thumb, and you guys already know this, is yeah. Excuse me. The weight relative. Okay, now that's relative. If you see a trade, don't wait. You know, that's for your house. But usually, just talking out loud, okay, usually it is a good idea to wait. Just to wait for a little volatility to kind of relax. Okay. On my end, I'm just updating some lines as they did change. Just kind of to see how things have like opened this morning. So kind of like the S&P and the Russell are tied. Okay. Okay, so what's going on right now is the ES is ripping to the upside. So it's the NASDAQ. The Russell found some weakness early on, and so did Dow. So the ideas of some like selling has appeared, but that doesn't mean we could completely run into a market that wants to grind higher. We really like to see how 940, 945 kind of closes here. Okay. Hate to say that. See, I'm jumping on the smaller time frame. So here's the odd thing, like the Dow is going down, everything else is going up, which is kind of like what happened yesterday. And just I'm gonna say this out loud so Anthony can hear it. I would think to go short on the Dow, and I'm a little bit late to it, but in trading pod, we talked about that counter trend trade. It's just not a high probability trade, that's all. Now, if we sit here and wait, and we just kind of wait for this thing, we're okay that it's selling off right now. So the whole game plan would be to go long later on, okay? Mhm. So today we might be a little bit stuck. Okay. I mean, yeah, there's some counter trend trades. Hmm. Can't do that. So the really weird thing is experience tells us not to buck the trend. So I'm kind of watching, like, the Dow is going down, the Russell is starting to want to go down, and the S&P and NASDAQ are going up. So that doesn't make for a safe trading environment. Even though the sell short on the Dow is working, and Keith, if you did that, I kind of feel like in my head you kind of did do that. You're looking like a king right now, man. You're looking like a king. It's just like, I can't do that. I just wouldn't be able to do it. So look at this right here on the ES. You guys are seeing it. I'm going to change the screen. So just make sure you're looking at it. And then, sorry, Anthony, I just saw your face. And then, here comes the Dow. There's the Dow. That right there is a, whatever Anthony has pasted into the chat. That's exactly what that is. That's what we ran into yesterday. Okay? Like, we cannot, this is kind of what it is. It's weird. With everything else going up, just go back to the family that we've been talking about for a while. Mama bear, Papa bear, baby bear, little red stepchild, right? Half of the family is going one way, and the other half of the family is going the completely opposite way. And yeah, if you're gonna force a trade, well, yeah, you definitely have a opportunity here, but it's not a great atmosphere for trading. What would be a great atmosphere for trading is that if the entire family was going north, okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful trading. Or if the entire family is going south, that's beautiful trading. And everyone here, all my pit traders, you guys see, hopefully you see the trade here on the Dow. But, you can see the discipline that it takes not to do that, because it's not, I don't want to use the word safe, but it's not high probability, because the family is just not moving in the right direction. That means, if Chris is still here, and Chris, you might hate me for this, and that's fine. That means that we got to wait longer into the day for the family now to work correctly, to work in harmony. And that might not make you happy, because Chris, I know sometimes you got to get up and go. And that's just what we have today, Okay? That's just what's happening, and I'm not interested in forcing anything. So this sell short on the Dow is at 54, that 54 marker. And then and probably relatively right about here would be some profit taking. Yes. Yeah. So that's the reason I'm telling that to you there, Chris. Oh, wait a second. We might, if this wants to work, this could work. The funny thing is, listen to me about to be negative. Hey, does anybody know what day it is today? I was reminded of this by a high caliber trader the other day. And actually, he's newer to trading. He's newer to trading. Does anyone know what day it is today? All right. Well, you guys might be focused. I'll leave you alone. I like that focus. I like it a lot. There it is. Good man, Carlos. Very good. There you go. Yeah, so I'll say that out loud for everybody. Another day in paradise. So right now, commit to yourself. It's another day in paradise. And whatever happens, happens. Completely A-okay. Another day in paradise. Find the high probability trade. Trade the high probability trade. And you do good. Do good. Even if that means you don't get a trade this very second. It's completely fine. Okay? So Carlos, if you're focused on ES, stay focused on ES, okay? So just talking out loud, the Russell is sideways, the Dow is sideways weak, and then the Nasdaq, S&P are very, very strong. Okay, and just flip back to the ES. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're coming up to 30 minutes, right? So 30 minutes into the day, I see some sell-off. That's just people taking some profits. Typically, the people that have been long since last night type of deal. Eight, 10, 7, Well, I'm thinking about doing something I don't normally do. Let me just double check that I'm feeling sexy on it. I'm gonna execute like a touch here.
Order filled.
Okay. Stop is good. Entry is very poor. And then the target's gonna be above somewhere. I'm not so concerned with that right now. I gotta watch the overall market because I'm really, really, really late on this trade idea. So Keith, I'd probably give myself a grade of a C, using the report card for this. For you guys, you can see it on the touch. Man, I really do not like that. There you go, Keith. That's very good. Yes, that's very, very good. I love that idea, Keith. So I'm just gonna move. I mean, it doesn't make me happy. Like, I'm not happy in this because I was so late to it. Okay. I just moved my target up to 150. Just sitting up there. Technically, I don't like this trade because it's a bad entry. So in some ways, I'm thinking about killing it, to tell you the truth. Actually, you know what? I think I might. I'm just gonna cover $5 right there. I'm only doing that because the entry was just so bad.
Order filled.
Okay, so even though that might be a good trade, I got out of that. And we can come back and look at it relatively right here. One reason I got out of it is because the entry was so poor. Okay, I'm just circling that for my own, like, go back, learn. Not to put my own thoughts or judgments on this stuff, but I really just I don't like how the ES looks. Like, I don't like that look. I don't like it. And yes, Anthony, I did MES and I did like 2 contracts on that. Really late to the party on that one. So what I did there was I just disciplined myself. Discipline in the form of, hey, that was a really bad entry, buddy. I mean, that was a really bad entry. So you shouldn't be in there anyways. And if you do earn, then you need to donate. You know, find a charity and donate, because that was a really bad entry. So I don't really care. That keeps going up. That's fine. I'm more interested in doing things for a reason, doing things because it's a disciplined process, not because I got bored. I mean, that's just stupid. At least that's pretty much you, man. I don't know if that's speaking to you at all, but in good conscience, I couldn't, even though good trade, I'm not going to stay in it. Not going to stay in it. So I got to give myself a C minus. If not, Keith, a D. I might have to give myself a D. And you know what the letter D stands for? Anthony says, got it. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. That'd be like, oh no, dare I say it? I don't want to offend anybody, but that'd be like the Patriots winning a football game by deflating the football. You know? It's like, hey, you could do it, but you're not supposed to do it. Carlos, again, that little ES whatever was a little touch, okay? Just a little touch. I'm not so good at touches. I saw it 5 minutes, just telling you guys. And I was waiting, I was watching. I wasn't hesitating. It was just simply that I don't typically do those, right? I just don't do them. Dang it. So Keith, technically you should be long the Dow where you are, okay? Good job to Keith if you are long the Dow. That's a really good trade. Let's just go to the Dow for a second. Now that's the trade we were looking for, and look at me take my eye off the ball for a second. That also doesn't typically happen. So Keith, you got to be really careful right here at 54 even, all right? That's your spot. So be careful, all right? Carlos, if you're still in that ES, then just trail it up like you were trained to do. Ha! Carlos, we can't be using that S word. Can't be using the S word. We gotta be using the L word, the L word. I mean, the S word could appear later in the day, but right now the market says, yo, don't fight against me. Don't fight against me. Go with me. And going with me means be a buyer. But yeah, if that sell trade appears later in the day, by 11:30-ish, I don't, 10:30, 11:30, 12 noon, that's what you're dealing with if you're looking for something with the sell. Because the strength of the market keeps going up. So we can't fight against it, gotta go with it. And that's why I was going with the touch there, okay? That's why. And this is everyone. I'm typing in caps, not just I'll just type to everyone. Don't fight. There you go. You want to try to do everything in your power to go with it. Okay? Ride the wave. You know? Surf. Surf that wave. So this morning, I was looking to go long. But then, looking at the market, everyone here understands this. Sometimes you get a little confused. Sometimes you should be long, but then you go short. And I just kind of think that's a lack of, might be a lack of focus, might be a lack of discipline. Really, I think it's more like a lack of a process that's orientated to you as an individual trader. That's really kind of what I think. Okay. Well, let me throw FinViz back over here, just so you guys kind of get the layout yet again. All right. So you see, like the Dow, I mean, is that good? Is that good trade? No, that's not a good trade. Only now, Keith, are you starting to get that opportunity to go up with it. Only now. All right. The NASDAQ, the S&P, the Russell. So if this starts to lose its steam, if it starts to lose its steam, then yeah, you could have a sell-off. But now I'm reminded of something that was high caliber. Remember, when we did the ATR on the Dow this morning, we already said it was beyond its ATR. And so we said, yo, probably not going to do anything. But on the S&P, we said it still had another 100 points to go. So this morning, that's 30. That's 10. Say we started at 30. So that's 10. That's 20. That's 30. That's 40. So we're coming up to 50 points. So I wouldn't be, in the next 15 minutes, we might see a sell-off on the S&P. Okay? I mean, it might. I mean, it could definitely happen. It might be a little bit later. But the S&P has more room to go. And why am I saying that? Because remember, the ATR told us that earlier in the morning. Okay? I probably should have, personally, I probably should have focused more on that little tidbit. But again, just some items that just go back in the day and definitely write that down. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me flip back. Well, no, I'm not actually sorry. So, Keith, I don't know if you got long, man, but if you did, you're looking pretty sexy. Just 10 more ticks here. Well, shoot, let me just ask you, Keith, did you get long on that? Because you definitely had everything that you needed to get long if you were focused. Oh my goodness, that might be the trade of the day. I might have to give it to Keith here. Hmm. Oh, great job, Keith. Yeah, I'm just seeing that. Okay. Well, hey, make sure you don't hurt yourself. Make sure you help yourself with that, okay? Yes, sir. Okay, there you go. Good man. Good job. Let's see here, Keith. So again, Keith, make sure you don't, hurt yourself. That trading pod's gonna put your feet over the coals, But mm-hmm. Oh, got a little breakage going on here. What number is this? Mm-hmm. Ooh, that could really not be kind. The key here with what's going on is going to be what 10-minute really says. That'd be really of key interest to us. Okay. Mm-hmm. If there is some weakness, we're starting to get it here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go short.
Order filled.
Then on MES, I'm gonna go MES. I'm just gonna do one of this. But
Order filled.
so what I'm gonna try to do here is target the 7670 on the ES. Okay. So we could definitely get slapped on the wrist here. But like a little late to the party, tell you the truth. But that is that. And then the Dow is what I'm really actually concerned with. So let me just make sure that all right, that's where it is. And then the Dow. Oops, sorry. There we go. Go, Dow, go. Again, the Dow is just kind of, yeah. Okay. Ooh, okay, okay. Well, that's not good.
Order filled.
I'm actually getting out of the Dow because I actually went in with too many contracts, and that's my fault. Okay. And also there's this sitting here. Oh, sorry. There's this sitting right here. Okay. Check out the 10 minutes. Yeah. And then the ES, relatively, I'm okay with this. I'll be okay if I get stopped out on this. Okay. Mm-hmm. I am going to give it like 5 minutes or so to work. Ooh-wee. Not looking too pretty. Nope. We gave it 5 minutes. It's not doing exactly what we want. Now all we're doing is that we're just staying with it. That's it. You know, we get stopped out for 37 bucks. That's fine. We had a few winning trades today. It's just all gonna come out break even. That's all. Right then there, I will say it's more like a B trade. Because we do have weakness appearing. Okay. Not a good trade. Like, you know, we do have that weakness appearing. Let's show you. We already know the Dow is pretty much doing nothing, and we got a little bit of weakness. For all we know, it's going to be the exact same thing as yesterday. The question's going to be if this wants to go higher. If it goes higher, then, hey, we get that wrong, and we'll move on. Just move right along. Yep, we got that wrong.
Order filled.
So you guys saw that right there? That little spike right there, that was, wow, that's actually really great. So for you all, I don't know if you were watching that, but we get stopped out. Okay, got it. You know, that's okay. We can facilitate that. But it didn't trigger. It's because there was massive slippage going on. I actually got a better fill. Because I didn't get filled all the way up there at the top of the wick. And if you all have the platform immersion, then you have that secret setting in your trade station that made sure that you didn't get a bad fill. So yeah, that's actually what just happened. So it went up, it was hitting the stop, but it wasn't filling. Slippage was going on. That means stray ticks were appearing, and I needed, my settings are that it gets filled within the best bid and ask. So that was really good. I don't know if anyone was watching or noticing that, but that's kind of what just happened there. So with that being said, I'm pretty much flat, you know. I'm not so happy with what the market's providing us at this exact moment. Yeah, Chris, we'll talk to you later. Yeah. The market rallied. It's now going sideways. And the longer we sit here, the more ideas or even mistakes you might have. So if you are able to trade up till 12 noon, just be really patient. Okay, be really patient. Wait for your close of the candle. Wait for your close of the candle to appear, and then just move on from there. All right. So that's gonna be the key with that. Okay. So we had a few winners, a few $100. The Dow trade, we tried to work that. Recognized two main mistakes, I would say, and you know, made evasive maneuvers quickly, and really good trade to Keith on the Dow. That was perfect. That was like a really good trade. And then everything else on the ES, not so great. At least for me, I'm talking about me now. And nothing that's catastrophic, you know. Just, hey, went up in the morning. We had good intentions. There were some opportunities, but you had to really, really focus in on it. Then lastly, we had some minor sell-offs. We got just a few ticks off of it, you know, because it was counter. At least you saw me moving my stop very, very quickly to facilitate that. On the Dow Jones trade, I didn't notice on my chart trader that I had too many contracts on there. So when I did notice it, I just immediately closed that trade. So you saw me do that. Very good discipline. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna end, but as I'm ending, I'm gonna take some screenshots. I'm gonna be journaling. I'm gonna be logging this. If I see like a super easy trade, it's got to be super easy. Then I'll look to trade it like later on today. But I mean, it has to be like so blatant that you could see it from half a mile away, kind of thing. Okay. And then other than that, yeah, really good. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I may start the stream. I haven't decided yet at 9 a.m. So just be aware of that. And until next time, we'll talk to you guys later. Very good job. If you are in the green, again, make sure you are protecting your profits there. Okay. So solid job. And until next time, we'll see you guys real soon. Okay.